What if I told you that the man who built the ark was once a drunkard, or that the woman who saved her people from genocide was once a lowly orphan? These aren't just ancient tales. These are life-changing lessons from the pages of history. These are 6 profound insights drawn from Proverbs 6. Proverbs 6, verse 6. Go to the aunt, thou sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise. Noah's story didn't start with a flood. Long before the rain came, God saw that Noah was a man of righteousness in a wicked world. He hadn't asked for the task. He hadn't sought it out. However, God saw that his family was one of the last alive who still believed in him. So for several decades, Noah labored tirelessly, building a vessel for a flood in a world that had never seen rain. It was a monumental undertaking. But diligence doesn't just build arks. It builds character. As the work progressed, so did the mockery. Neighbors scoffed his efforts. Townspeople poked fun at him. And slowly, the man who once stood alone in faith began to stand alone in purpose. When the rains finally came, Noah's diligence had prepared him for more than just survival. It had prepared him for obedience in the face of ridicule, for perseverance in the absence of immediate results. Though the Bible would later speak on his affinity for alcohol and the disgrace that followed, his vice did not disqualify him as a vessel for the Lord. Proverbs 6, verses 16 to 19. These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yes, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that are swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaks lies, and he that sows discord among brethren. Esther's tale didn't start with a crown. When Mordecai raised her, they found her not in a palace, but in obscurity, an orphan girl in a foreign land. She hadn't sought royalty, she hadn't pursued power, it found her. And when the time came, she used her position not for personal gain, but for the salvation of her people. It was a display of selfless courage. But power doesn't just test resolve, it reveals character. As the plot against the Jews unfolded, so did Esther's true strength. Haman's pride led to his downfall, his lying tongue to his destruction. And slowly, the girl who once hid her identity began to embrace her destiny. When faced with a choice between comfort and courage, Esther chose to risk her life for her people. If I perish, she declared. Her humility stood in stark contrast to Haman's pride, her truth against his lies. Where he sowed discord, she brought unity. Where his hands sought to shed innocent blood, hers worked to preserve life. Proverbs 6, 30 and 31. Men do not despise a thief, if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. Jacob's journey didn't begin with deception. When he fled from Esau, they found him not in triumph, but in fear. A fugitive running from the consequences of his actions. He hadn't earned his blessing, he had stolen it. And for years, he lived with the weight of his deceit, reaping what he had sown. It was a hard-learned lesson. But theft doesn't just take possessions, it takes peace. As Jacob worked for Laban, so did justice work on him. He was deceived as he had deceived, cheated as he had cheated. And slowly, the man who once stole a blessing began to understand the cost of dishonesty. When he finally returned home, Jacob didn't just restore what he had taken. He offered Esau gifts far beyond what he owed, saying, I have enough, my brother, keep that thou hast unto thyself. The thief had become generous, the deceiver honest. Jacob's story reminds us that while desperation may drive us to desperate acts, true redemption comes not just in restoring what was taken, but in transforming the heart that took it. Proverbs 6 verse 20. My son, keep thy father's commandment, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Samuel's tale didn't start in the temple. When God called him, they found him not as a prophet, but as a child, dedicated to the Lord from birth. He hadn't chosen his path, his mother had chosen it for him. And from his youth, he learned to listen to the voice of God and the wisdom of his elders. It was a foundation of obedience, but obedience doesn't just follow rules, it shapes destinies. As Samuel grew, so did his understanding. Eli's sons ignored their father's teachings, bringing disgrace upon themselves and judgment upon their house. And slowly, the boy who once mistook God's voice for Eli's began to speak with divine authority. When called to anoint a new king, Samuel didn't rely on appearances or popular opinion. He listened to God's voice, remembering the lessons of his youth. His obedience to God's commandments and his mother's dedication led him to become not just a prophet, but a pivotal figure in Israel's history. Samuel's life stands as a testament to the power of heeding parental wisdom and divine guidance. Proverbs 6 verse 25. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. Joseph's story didn't begin in Potiphar's house. It began rooted in faith, but ill intentions had led him to a foreign land, away from his family. When temptation came in the form of adultery, they found him not in weakness, but in strength, a man of integrity in a land of compromise. He hadn't sought the attention, he hadn't pursued the affair, it pursued him. And in a moment of crisis, he chose character over comfort, purity over passion. It was a decision that cost him dearly. But lust doesn't just tempt the body, it tests the soul. As Joseph resisted, so did his resolve grow stronger. Potiphar's wife persisted, her advances becoming more aggressive. And slowly, the young man who once dreamed of greatness began to live it out through his choices. When falsely accused and imprisoned, Joseph didn't become bitter. He remained faithful, his integrity intact even in the darkest of circumstances. His refusal to give in to lust led not to immediate reward, but to further trials. Yet it was this very strength of character that would eventually elevate him to a position of power, second only to Pharaoh himself. Proverbs 6, verses 34 and 35. For jealousy is the rage of a man. Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah, went out to visit the women of the land. While there she was seen by Shechem, a Hivite prince, who took her and violated her. Afterward, he claimed to love her and asked his father, Haman, to arrange marriage with Jacob's family. Shechem offered wealth, gifts, and anything the family asked for as a bride price. No matter what dowry or gift you demand, I will gladly pay it. Just give me the girl as my wife, he said. But Dinah's brothers, especially Simeon and Levi, were burning with fury. Their sister had been defiled. No amount of gold or gifts could restore her honor or satisfy their rage. They deceived Shechem and Haman by agreeing to the marriage on the condition that all the men of their city be circumcised. While the men were still in pain and recovering, Simeon and Levi took swords and struck down every male in the city, including Shechem and Haman. It was a brutal act of vengeance, fueled by jealousy and honor. These stories, drawn from the lives of flawed yet faithful individuals, echo the wisdom found in Proverbs 6. They remind us that the path of wisdom is often learned through trials, that character is forged in the crucible of choice, and that the greatest victories are often won in the quiet battles of the heart. From Noah's diligence to Esther's courage, from Jacob's redemption to Samuel's obedience, from Joseph's integrity to the rage of Simeon and Levi, each life offers a glimpse into the timeless truths that Proverbs seeks to impart. As we consider these ancient words and the lives they've shaped, we're challenged to examine our own hearts, to weigh our own choices. For in the end, it's not just about avoiding pitfalls or following rules, it's about becoming people of wisdom, character, and purpose, living out the Proverbs in our own stories, day by day, choice by choice.